Hello students, welcome to SRIRAM's IAS. Welcome to this discussion of governance of paper number 2 of 2025 question paper. Governance के 4 क्वेश्चन पूछे गए थे out of 20 and we are going to discuss about them. 2 क्वेश्चन 10 मार्कर्स थे और 2 क्वेश्चन 15 मार्कर्स थे. क्वेश्चन नंबर 7, क्वेश्चन नंबर 8 और क्वेश्चन नंबर 15 और 17 गवर्नेंस के थे. बहुत ही अच्छा पेपर है, बहुत ही अच्छे क्वेश्चंस थे. सो लेट्स डाइव डीप एंड ट्राई टू डिस्कस फ्यू थिंग्स अबाउट द क्वेश्चन. अब क्वेश्चंस को समझने की कोशिश करिए. ई गवर्नेंस प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में पूछा है. ई गवर्नेंस प्रोजेक्ट क्या होते हैं? देखिए, ई गवर्नेंस और इससे रिलेटेड जो भी कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी की प्रोजेक्ट हैं, गवर्नमेंट इनको यूज़ सिर्फ इसलिए करती है ताकि चीज़ें सरल हो जाएं लोगों के लिए. जो कागज़ पत्थर पे पहले सब कुछ चलता था, अब वो सब टेक्नोलॉजी के आने की वजह से ऑनलाइन हो गया है और उस ऑनलाइन की वजह से पीपल हैव टू बी इंक्लूडेड इन दीज ई गवर्नेंस प्रोजेक्ट. बट क्वेश्चन क्या बोल रहा है? क्वेश्चन बोल रहा है ई गवर्नेंस प्रोजेक्ट हैव अ बिल्ट इन बायस. किसी प्रकार की बायसनेस की बात कर रहा है. हैव अ बिल्ट इन बायस मतलब जो प्रोजेक्ट्स बनाए जा रहे हैं ई गवर्नेंस के, उसमें कुछ ना कुछ बिल्ट इन ही है which is creating problem. Some kind of biasness is there towards technology and back-end integration. Then user-centric design. अब दोस्तों देखिए, गवर्नेंस में चीज़ें एफिशिएंट बनाने के लिए और इफेक्टिव बनाने के लिए टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज़ किया जाता है. एफिशिएंट और इफेक्टिव 2 तरह से हो सकती हैं. पहला तो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के लिए इफेक्टिव हो और एफिशिएंट हो, और दूसरा लोगों के लिए इफेक्टिव हो और एफिशिएंट हो. तो आपको समझना होगा गवर्नेंस इज फॉर द पीपल, डेमोक्रेसी इज फॉर द पीपल. और इस वजह से ई गवर्नेंस के जो भी प्रोजेक्ट हैं, इसमें जो आजकल फोकस एरिया है वो क्या है? टेक्नोलॉजी एंड बैक एंड इंटीग्रेशन, ना कि यूजर सेंट्रिक डिजाइन्स, यूजर फ्रेंडली अप्रोच. अब आप ही खुद देखिए, अगर आप रेलवे की वेबसाइट पे जाएं या इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट की वेबसाइट पे जाएं और लोगों को बार बार जाना पड़ता है, अपना इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न फाइल करना है या अपना जीएसटी फाइल करना है तो जीएसटी की वेबसाइट पे जाएं, ट्रेन के रिजर्वेशन करने हैं, चीज़ें बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स रहती हैं. लॉगिन कहाँ से करें, पासवर्ड कभी आया कभी नहीं आया, और बहुत प्रकार की अलग अलग समस्याएँ होती रहती हैं. Because of the simple reason why these problems are occurring, because of the simple reason that these e-governance projects are not made user friendly. The users, the people, the citizens are not kept at the center. If you see the populace in India, many of them are now using internet. Many of them have the mobile phones in their hands. And at the same time, if you look at the private sector, they sell things in a very nice manner. अगर आप किसी भी प्राइवेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की वेबसाइट पे जाएंगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि उनकी वेबसाइट बहुत अच्छे से बनी हुई है, बहुत यूजर फ्रेंडली है. Whereas if you see the government websites, they are not as much user friendly. तो चीजें आसान करना, एफिशिएंट करना, इफेक्टिव करना, for whom? For the people in the government or for the citizens who are using those सर्विसेज. दैट इज द बेसिस ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन. अब कुछ पॉइंट्स है, जैसे विजन क्या है इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी का एंड ई गवर्नेंस का. इट्स अ सिंपल विजन टू प्रोवाइड एक्सेस टू एज मेनी पीपल एज यू कैन. अब आप देखिए, बैंकिंग पूरी ऑनलाइन हो गई है. अगर यूजर फ्रेंडली बैंकिंग हो जाए तो जो आपको बार बार चक्कर लगाने पड़ते थे बैंक्स के फॉर डिफरेंट रीजन, चीज़ें विड्रॉ करने के लिए, पैसे विड्रॉ करने के लिए, डिपॉजिट करने के लिए, वो सब बहुत आसानी से हो जाएगा. अब तो पेमेंट सिस्टम्स हैं, जैसे यूपीआई है, पेमेंट सिस्टम है, दैट इज़ ऑल्सो प्लेइंग अ वेरी वेरी important role. So this financial integration, this financial inclusion is very much required in the country, and hence these e-governance projects are made. That's why technology is used. So the basic idea which you can write in your introduction also, the basic vision or the goal of e-governance project is to provide access, to provide transparency. चीज़ें ऑनलाइन रहेंगी तो बहुत ज़्यादा पता चल जाता है. अंडर द टेबल कुछ ब्लैक मनी का आदान प्रदान नहीं होगा, ट्रांसपेरेंसी बनी रहेगी. अगर आप कोई चीज़ ऑनलाइन खरीदते हैं तो रिसीट्स रहती हैं. अगर बिडिंग ऑनलाइन होती है तो रिसीट रहती हैं, ट्रांजैक्शंस रहते हैं. सो बिडिंग्स भी इंडिया में ऑनलाइन होने लगी हैं. किसी भी प्रकार की बिडिंग हो, ये मिनरल की बिडिंग हो या फिर रेलवे की किसी प्रकार की बिडिंग हो, दे आर ऑल ऑनलाइन. और ई मार्केट प्लेस करके है, गवर्नमेंट का पोर्टल, बहुत से पोर्टल हैं, अलग अलग सेक्टर्स के अलग अलग पोर्टल हैं, सब कुछ ऑनलाइन है। आपको सब्जी भाजी भी बेचनी है अगर मार्केट के अंदर तो वो ऑनलाइन हो जाता है। कमोडिटी प्राइसेस सब कुछ ऑनलाइन होता है, शेयर मार्केट पूरा ऑनलाइन चलता है। बट द पॉइंट इज इट यूजर फ्रेंडली? सो ट्रांसपेरेंसी मेंटेन्ड रहती है और अकाउंटेबिलिटी मेंटेन्ड रहती है। ये तीन वर्ड बहुत जरूरी हैं हर प्रकार के ई गवर्नेंस प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर। ट्रांसपेरेंसी, अकाउंटेबिलिटी एंड एक्सेस टू द पीपल, the inclusion of the people are very, very important. Now, the biasness which has been asked here in the question. The technology is given more prominence. Things are made easy for the people who are sitting in the government rather than for people who are using it. It's not user centric. So, user design जो है उतना अच्छा नहीं है compared to the technology and the focus on technology which the government puts. Now this is the biasness in these e-governance में बहुत ही सुंदर क्वेश्चन बनाती है यूपीएससी। उसमें से ये एक क्वेश्चन है, गवर्नेंस का बहुत ही डीप क्वेश्चन है। गवर्नेंस का मतलब ही है कितने सुचारू रूप से व्यवस्थाएं चल पाएं। अब एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में बहुत सी चीज़ होती है, फाइनेंशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन रहता है, द फिजिकल हार्डकोर एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन टू रन a city, to run a district, to run a state, everything is there and these e-governance project बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले करते हैं। तो उसमें अगर आप यूज़र डिज़ाइन की जगह अगर टेक्नोलॉजी को प्रोमिनेंस देने लगे तो इट्स अ बिट ऑफ एन इशू। नाउ इशू इज़ द कॉम्प्लेक्स पोर्टल्स एज वी हैव डिस्कस्ड। इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट का देख लीजिए या मार्केट प्लेस का देख लीजिए या आप रेलवेज़ का देख लीजिए या कहीं पर बैंकिंग का देख लीजिए। डिजिटल डिवाइड, इतनी लिटरेसी लोगों की है नहीं, और शहरों के लोग भी, इफ़ यू सी द पीपल हु आर ड्वेलिंग इन द सिटीज़, दे डू यूज़ इंस्टाग्राम, दे डू यूज़ LinkedIn and other kind of things, but when it comes to the usage of the government websites, portals made by the government, things become very hefty and tedious for them. They are unable to understand. Why? Because the private sector is providing very easy to use, user-friendly portals, user-friendly websites. And it's easy for a person to decode. But when it comes to the government, it's a very, very complex portal to use. So there is a huge digital divide, and because of the digital divide, what happens? ये जो बिचौलिए बीच में पैदा होते हैं, at times you also need expert एडवाइजेस। छोटे छोटे काम के लिए भी आपको अगर एक्सपर्ट एडवाइस की जरूरत, मान लीजिए मैं एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल देता हूँ, आपको इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न भरना है। कितने लोग इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न भर पाते हैं? अच्छे खासे पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं बट नहीं भर पाते। थिंग्स आर नॉट सिंप्लीफाइड इन दैट वे, ठीक है। सो ये डिजिटल डिवाइड एक क्रिएट हो रहा है। रीजन क्या है? सप्लाई ड्रिवन है सारी चीजें। थिंग्स आर बिकमिंग ईजी फॉर द गवर्नमेंट, for the people sitting in the government. Why? Because they are using the technology and the manpower required, the number of hours required to do the work is reducing, but at the same time it is not becoming easy for the people. No, user feedback is very important everywhere. आप कोई भी काम करें, अगर आप लड्डू और पेड़े की दुकान भी खोलते हैं तो feedback is something which is going to improve your business, which is going to improve your product. And everywhere where it comes to technology, where it comes to services given to the citizens, services given in the private sector to the people, everywhere feedback is very much required. The lawyer, doctor, hospitals, schools, colleges, feedback is something which improves the product, which improves the process. And it has the tendency to improve the e-governance projects also. But see, no user feedback is taken. What is the impact? Again, exclusion, digital divide, exclusion and huge trust deficit. लोगों को डर लगता है if they start to use the technology, the project of the e-governance project of the government, then maybe they may be cheated because they do not know, they do not have the faith. ना उन्होंने कभी करा है, ना उनसे उनके पल्ले पड़ रहा है, ना वो करते बन रहा है। Why? Because it's too complex. So you have to understand one thing, that whom should be made, or who should be made the central focus of all kind of e-governance project. It is the citizens or it is the people who are sitting in the government. So it always have to be the citizens. Always remember this. And then the trust deficit will evaporate, or else it will not. So what's the way forward here? यूजर सेंट्रिक सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. कोई भी आप ई गवर्नेंस प्रोजेक्ट बनाए, इट हैज टू बी यूजर सेंट्रिक. लोकल लैंग्वेज हैज टू बी यूज्ड. दैट्स अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. If you are improving upon a project and it's a pan-India project, it has its implementation not only in North India but in the South India and the East and the West also. The people in Southern India cannot speak Hindi. Similarly, all the people of India cannot speak and understand English. So the use of the local language has to be there everywhere. It's a very important thing. Local language has to be integrated, such as in the Umang app and the Aadhaar. Now the seeding is done in Aadhaar and everything is linked with Aadhaar. Now that's a very good example, because one ID card is enough for you to avail many services of the government, and that's the most important thing. I hope you're getting this. Moving on to the other question. Question number 8. Civil society organizations are often perceived as being anti-state actor rather than non-state actor. So what's the difference here? What's the difference between anti-state actor and non-state actor? देखिए, anti-state actor का मतलब है जो state के खिलाफ काम करे, और non-state actor का मतलब है it can be private but it's not against the government. So there is ample space for everybody to be a non-state actor. Every private organization there is which does not have the funding or the backing of the government is considered a non-state actor, and it's a very important thing. Under Article 12 of the Constitution, the definition of law is provided, and there are many instrumentalities of the government which are financed by the government, where the government have deep pervasive roles to play. Government have the power to appoint the chairmans and remove the chairmans and the boards of director. Those are considered as state, but there are a range of different organizations which are private and which has no backing of the government, which has no support of the government, and they run on their own. They make their own place in the market, is considered as non-state actor. And many of the civil societies, NGOs and other things, see here, the civil society organization includes NGOs, the advocacy groups, the movements which are not supported by the government. Now, ये क्वेश्चन क्यों पूछा गया है? क्योंकि बार बार सवाल उठता है कि ये जो NGOs हैं, ये जो advocacy groups हैं, ये जो movement groups हैं, they are always protesting, they are always criticizing the government, they are always exposing corruptions in the government. बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है आरटीआई वाला, बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल. कुछ बहुत सारे आरटीआई कार्यकर्ता हैं. अन्ना हजारे का जो मूवमेंट था, इंडिया अगेंस्ट करप्शन, it's a very big and a good movement which sort of exposed the corruption in a grandeur manner, in a very large manner, and you know, in some or the other way, it just pushed the government to pass the Lokpal and the Lokayukt Act in 2013. So all these things are perceived as bodies which are against government, because they're protesting, they're criticizing the government, they are exposing the government corruption. But in reality, if you see, what are they doing? They are pro accountability. If you need accountability, if you need transparency, if you need the governance practice or the service delivery practice to be free of corruption, all these things needs to be done. They are very important part of the governance structure of the country, and that is the reason why the civil society organizations exist in a country. They're very, very important. They are the organizations of the people. The people have to have their voice in a democracy, and a single person or a small group can't do anything until they institutionalize themselves, until they come and combine in a group. And that's what these things are, civil society organizations. But they are looked as protesters, criticizers, and people who are exposing the government. But they are pro accountability. They are focusing on the better service delivery to the people of the country, to the citizen of the country. Now, examples we have already seen. Now, what is the concern? Again, India allows for some foreign NGOs also to open up in India, and India also allows that, some foreign funding can be done. Now there is an act called FCRA Act, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, and it's a very important thing. Sometimes what happens when the foreign country who is not thinking in your favor too much and wants to bring down the established government, democratically elected government, and wants to harm the democratic process in the country, and so many ill things can be there. That country, and they are unable to finance or influence or persuade these kind of changes directly, then through the NGOs, then through the the civil society organizations and other organizations, the government, the foreign government, plays a big role in bringing down the governance structure, the service delivery structure, the democratic structure of the country. And that is the reason why countries, the foreign countries, fund these civil service organizations also. So there is this kind of a nexus between these organizations and the foreign countries. The Greenpeace, NGO, Greenpeace organization was barred from taking any kind of foreign contribution under the FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. And that is the reason why a perception has been made in the public that these groups, and there are many of them, the Home Ministry has banned many of them. I am not saying the Home Ministry has done anything wrong. They have to be banned if they are doing any anti-government exercise on the name of environment protection. If you try to stop the policy of the government, then you have to be banned. And beyond that, you are funded by the outside governments, by the foreign governments. That cannot be allowed in the country. So there is a concern, a huge concern, that foreign funding is misused and they are working as proxies of the foreign country, which tries to bring down the democratic and service delivery structure of the country. So it's a big, huge concern, because how they are using their fund, everything cannot be checked at a very minute level. So in conclusion, we only have to say that these organizations, which are called as the civil society organizations, are partners in democracy. Okay, they are the groups of people who are institutionalized or organized for particular action. For let's say Greenpeace is for environment, Narmada Bachao Andolan is specifically focusing upon the river and the catchment area called Narmada. And similarly, there are many organizations which are looking into health sector, education sector, and different other sectors. And they are trying to expose the corruption within the government. They are trying to push the government to better the delivery mechanism. And they are very important. They are pro-democracy. They are partners in democracy. They are not adversaries. And they are the watchdogs also, because these are the organizations of the people. So NGOs, civil society organization, advocacy movements, they play a very big role in the country. We cannot, outrightly say that all of them are wrong and all of them are running to bring down the government. Not always true. Sometimes the government has to be told that there are few shortcomings which are there in the governance structure and there is a corruption going on, and somebody needs to be there to oppose or expose that, and these civil society organizations do that. So this is the structure of the exam, the answer which you have to write. Now coming to this 15 marker 250 word question, what are environmental pressure groups? It's a very straightforward question. Environmental pressure groups: discuss their role in raising awareness. This is one thing. Influencing policies of the government and advocating for environmental protection. So what are these environmental pressure groups? So there can be pressure group related with any subject, and one of the subject on which the parliament legislates and the executive makes the policy and implements them, is the environmental pressure group. Now more and more environmental pressure group who has the sole purpose of protecting the environment, protecting the wildlife, protecting the air, water and land, which in one or the other way constitutes the whole environmental treasure of this country, and it needs to be protected, of course. And sometimes the government overlooks these natural resources for development, because government has its own mandate to prove to the people that they have done the development. In that developmental project, rampant deforestation takes place, the globalization and this whole process of global warming is taking place, and this global warming is very much harmful for the wildlife, very much harmful for the rural background people, and also for people who are living in the borders and on the the coastlines of India. And in order to expose the government, in order to show that some kind of wrong policy has been taken, and at the same time to pressurize the government to do their job of environmental impact assessment, these pressure groups are made. So in one or the other way, they are the watchdogs. They are the people who are trying to bring the government in line when it comes to environment. They are the people who want government to be transparent and accountability when it comes to decision making related to projects which hampers or deteriorates the environment. So that is what is pressure group all about. So definition: they are non-political. Of course, they are non-political, and they influence policy. Example is Chipko movement. Chipko movement was a very great movement when the trees in Uttarakhand were cut. People went there and they started to hug the trees so that the government people, the municipality and the other authorities shall not be able to cut those trees. Similarly, Narmada Bachao Andolan is a very important Andolan where the focus point is the river Narmada and its catchment area, and it needs to be developed, it needs to be protected in order to protect the wildlife, in order to protect the environment, in order to protect the livelihood of millions of people who live on the basis of the resources provided by this river. Similarly, we have the Greenpeace also, but since its foreign funding was stopped, so it is in sort of in spotlight. But yeah, it also does some kind of pressure group work. The role is awareness. That's what which has been asked. When they come on news, they speak against the government's decision that government has done something without the environmental impact assessment, or the report of the environmental impact assessment has not been proper justified, or it's an arbitrary report which is going against the provision, or only things are written and not actually happening on ground. All these things are exposed by these pressure groups. They don't want the development to take place at the cost of environmental degradation. That is important for you to understand. They influence the policy, and they do advocacy, and they do have global linkages also, because environmental degradation is not a local problem. Global warming is not a local problem. It's an international problem. Something which was done by the Western countries is affecting India also, is affecting the other Asian countries also. The global warming, it's a global phenomena, it's not a local phenomena. And that is the reason why there are offshoots of many international pressure groups, offshoots of many international organizations, non-governmental organizations. In India also, so they do have global linkages. They hire good people to do research for them. They have great amount of funding from people who want to donate to protect the environment, and these groups in turn tries to bring in light those issues which government must never forget when it comes to environmental protection. That's why they are called as pressure groups. The impact, they can stop the projects also, such as dam projects. Several times protests happen against a dam project or against a highway or a bridge which is made after cutting the whole forest. And I still remember there have been so many. Recently one project came where the trees were cut and the wildlife was killed in Hyderabad. Trees were falling, and the government machinery was working throughout the night to do it, and these group approached the court, and court has put a stay on that. That has happened in Mumbai, that has happened somewhere, that a MLA rest house has to be made, and because of that the whole area of forest has to be cleared. People actually jumped in. These organizations, which are called as the environmental pressure group, have jumped in to oppose the government, and they are very important in protection of the environment. So they do raise awareness, they influence the policies. Sometimes they stop a particular project to be implemented because it has huge environmental cost. And there is also a concept of green corporate. They are bringing awareness not only to the individuals but also to the corporate to do their functioning in such a way that they become more and more green. To use the natural light in such a way that you don't require too many tube lights and electricity. You make the environment so cooler through the architecture of the building that you don't require the air conditions. All those things have to be incorporated by corporates also, because corporate houses, they consume huge amount of energy which has direct bearing on the environmental protection of the country or the environmental degradation of the country. So criticism is, again, this foreign hand criticism is everywhere. Even in the environmental pressure group, government always criticizes them because they are backed by the international organization, and there is a possibility it has been done to stall the important governmental developmental projects in the country. And they are anti-development. They have got this tag of anti-development because every other project which requires sacrifice of the jungle, they are against this. And the government says that how will be able to develop a particular state or anything else until and unless we actually cut the jungles. Now, if you see, recently floods are coming. It happened in Uttarakhand, it happened in Himachal. Rampant development has happened in Himachal, and Supreme Court recently has warned the state of Himachal Pradesh, saying that such kind of authorized, I would say, or kind of an environment which hampers the environmental growth, or which sort of results in environmental degradation, will be very, very against the growth, development, life and livelihood of the people. Huge flash floods are happening. Huge water bodies are sinking the villages, resulting in the loss of lives and livelihoods. So that is the important issue to look after by the government. And these Greenpeace people, or let's say the Chipko Andolan, the Narmada Bachao Andolan people, they are the people who are the environmental pressure groups who actually exposes these things in front of the government. They make the people aware. They try to sort of stop or influence the policy of the government. So again, in conclusion, you can always write that they are the watchdogs, they are pro-democracy, they are the partners in democracy rather than they are against the development. And on the other hand, these pressure groups also has to be sensitive towards the requirements of the government, where the government has to develop the infrastructure, has to develop and grow the economy in such a way where it requires to cut down the jungles. But then there are alternatives also which can be put into place, just like shifting. And the shifting thing does not happen in a very effective, efficient manner in the country. If you want to cut down a tree, rather than cutting down the tree, if you can shift that tree from one place to the other, the tree still exists. The environment has not been degraded in a very rampant way if you do this, but this process happens on paper but not on ground, and these are the people who exposes such practices. Now coming on to the 17th question, in contemporary development models, decision making and problem solving responsibilities are not located close to the source of the information, and execution defeating the object of development. Now what is the object of development? The simple process of development which the human being have understood from a very long time. The simple process of governance, the simple process of problem solving, the simple process of the responsibilities and the service deliveries. The simple issue is that wherever problem is there, the problem solvers has to be present there. Means if the government is here and the problem is here, there is a huge distance between these two. In a simple mechanism, if I want to tell you, there is a central government, and if this central government wants to solve the problem of a village or other villages or a group of village or all the villages, it would be very difficult because there is huge distance between the central government and the village level panchayats and village level gram sabhas. So the basic understanding of service delivery is, the basic understanding of problem solving is that the government, the problem solvers has to be very near to the problem. Wherever the problem is originating, the problem solver has to be near to that place. Now, in that information, try to read the question once more. In contemporary developmental models, the decision making and the problem solving responsibilities are not located close to the sources. So if this is the model which you want to follow, there is a central government which makes the decision which solves the problem, or the state government which makes the decision which solves the problem, but they are not near enough, or they are not located close to the source of the problem, which is here, which is at the gram sabha level, or which is at the municipality level. So the source of information is different, source of problem solving is different, and this distance makes the governance less effective and less efficient. I hope you are getting the example. So model is always top down, which is not good. The model is centralized, which is not good. Village republic was something which was the dream of Mahatma Gandhi. And also the 73rd and the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act is a act in that direction. It is trying to build a decentralized system in such a way where the villages, the gram sabhas and the municipalities are self-sufficient in themselves, financially also, administratively also. But unfortunately, that's not happening. The financial problem, the administrative problem at the local level, where the source of information is located, the problem in that area is solved by a centralized authority, solved by an authority who is sitting, let's say, in the state government. And there is where the effectiveness and the efficiency of service delivery comes down. So policy, once it is made, and if you compare it with the local reality, there is a huge mismatch. So that's the impact. That's the issue which happens. Impact is delay in service delivery, inefficiency, displacement. And example is dams, SEZ, special economic zones, and rural schemes. All these things requires some amount of problem solving and some amount of information. Now the problem solving on one hand and information on the other hand, if it has huge distance between them, then how do you really think the information will help in solving the problem? It is not going to happen. The source of the problem and the problem solving authority has to be near. It simply directs us towards more decentralized government, where the financial and administrative problem of the local level can be solved at the local level. And it also applies to policies made by the government. Now, policies related to special economic zones, policies related to dam. The people who will be displaced because of the dam, they are the people at the local grassroots level. How can you make a policy at the central level or a state level without even referring to the ground realities, without even referring to the source of the information? Now, that is the problem. What is the counter view here? The counter view is the resource mobilization is one thing and national projects are the other thing, which requires, and the resources cannot be mobilized at a very local level or a grassroots level. Resources have to be mobilized at least at the state level and then at the national level. And what about the national plans? What about those plans which have been laid out for the whole country? If you have a national plan, then it has to be followed. It has to be followed in every state. It has to be followed in every district. It has to be followed in the villages also. But then again, there is another kind of problem that they have to be customized. And this customization does not take place because it's a tedious process. It requires effort from the government, which at times government avoids. Way forward is decentralization. Gram Sabha and social audits. Social audits are very important. What does social audit mean? Simply, if a scheme is implemented, the people of the government goes to the grassroots level, the official goes to the grassroots level, to the village, to ask the people one by one whether this scheme which is implemented by the government is helping you or not. It's a feedback mechanism, and feedback, as I have said, is very much required in order to improve the product, in improving the service delivery, and in improving the projects and the schemes of the government. Conclusion is subsidiarity, decisions near the people. Again, decentralization, customization, even if it is a national plan, even if resource mobilization has to be done at the state level and at the national level, there shall be some kind of customization which has to happen. A dam which has to be made in eastern India and a dam which has to be made in the deserts of Rajasthan will not be same because of the totally different weather and climatic condition of the places. Hence, customization is required. Hence, the problem solving authority has to go near the problem, near the source of the problem. So this was it from my side. There were 4 questions of governance which we have discussed. I hope that you have understood these questions, and it is beneficial for everybody who has given the examination, who were unable to give this examination this year and will be giving the examination next time. So thank you very much for joining me. Have a nice day and Jai Hind.